afternoon, Kansas City, and welcome to Up Close and Cultural with Dr. Kara Say. Kansas City. Let me turn my volume down because I may start echoing. And while I am doing that, also you guys take a moment and join us across all social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, the Twitch, Twitter, and TuneIn app, all at KUAW Radio. That's knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You can also find us on KUAW.org. And also you can call into the show if you want to chime in on the conversation. As always, we are impacted by the culture, whether we like it or not, be it through media, government, politics, entertainment. It has a great impact on our lives. And this is where we talk about it every first and third Sunday on Up Close and Cultural, again on KUAW Radio. Again, follow us on all of the socials. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us to get through the algorithm and make sure that this wonderful Black media outlet is shared throughout all of the social media atmosphere so that you guys can join in on this content and also donate to the nonprofit program. Well, today I want to start off before I get into anything by asking the community to, I know some people don't like that or like this phrase. I don't know what they expect people to say, and I don't police anyone's language unless it's offensive in any way. But for me, I am a praying woman, so I don't have a problem with saying that I send out my thoughts and prayers, and mine definitely go with action. But to send out your thoughts, prayers, or whatever language that you choose to use to Raphael's family. Raphael is the Black teenager who was shot out in Kansas City North area just the other day. I know you've seen the news broadcast. You may have seen it as being reported as the teen who actually they categorized it as juvenile, or we'll get into that later. But what happened was that there was a Black teenager who was going to pick up his siblings from a friend's house. And he did not have his phone with him. So instead of going to the address, I'm not going to repeat the address or the individual's name of the home, but the family has said that it's okay to repeat his name. They actually just started sharing his name. But again, his name is Ralph Y'all. So Ralph was going to pick up his siblings from a friend's house. And instead of going to that address street, he went to that address terrace. And it was the wrong address. And it is being reported that when he knocked on the door, the man knocked on the door and used the weapon. And then once that was done, he opened up because he has two doors. He has his door to his home, and some of us have a screen door. He has a glass door, but he opened up the front door, told him the first door, he told him not to come back to his home again. Granted, I'm not leaving any parts out. It's all recorded. The child, he's a child. He's 16. He's a little thing. He did not do anything to this guy. And again, he was at the wrong home. But anyway, the gentleman that owns the home, he used his weapon against the child, told him not to come back to his home, then opened up the second door and used his weapon again while the child lay lying on the ground. And Ralph is alive. He is in the hospital. And what happened after that was even more disturbing because he had to get up and go to one of the neighbors' homes for help. This gentleman, after he did this, didn't even call 911 for him. So he went to another neighbor's home and they wouldn't even open the door for him. And so it's just miraculous that he survived. We don't know what his quality of life is going to be after this because once someone uses a weapon against you twice in your head, there just is no telling medically. First of all, it's just a miracle that you survived that, and we're so thankful to God for that. He is still in the hospital, of course, and he is alive. His aunt is reporting that he is alive. And the thing that happened after that is that after Ralph was taken to the hospital and the police responded, the male who did this was taken in for questioning. And then right after that, he was released. He was not arrested. So it happened just like that. There was no bond, there was no bail because he was not arrested. Um, Kansas City, Missouri Police Department is saying that he was sent home pending further investigation. So again, the process legally is that when things like that happen, it is, well, I'm not going to say normally, because we all know what would have happened had it been one of us. But the gentleman was sent home and the police department is saying he was sent home pending further investigation. So now it is up to Zachary Thompson, who is the prosecutor for Clay County, Missouri. And of course, he is located in the courthouse in Clay County, which is 11 South Water Street. And you can contact him if you have any questions about this or concerns about this incident. You can also call the Clay County, Missouri Police Department. What I do know is that we have been helping the aunt to circulate this story. I know that I sent it to one of my fraternity brothers of Omega Psi Phi, and I am so happy to report that along with Sean King, I don't know if Sean King is even here yet, but Lee Merritt, who also ran for Attorney General in Texas, he is on his way to Kansas City, and Sean King has secured attorneys for the family as well. If you go to the local news stations, because I know you've seen it, it just hasn't been reported to you this way. I think it just said that a juvenile knocked on the door and a weapon was used. I don't want to use certain words because you have to understand that on certain platforms, especially YouTube, they are very, very sensitive about words that are used, especially words indicating any kind of violence. They will strike the video and sometimes take it down. So when I'm kind of vague in my language, understand that that's why you have to be aware of the words that you speak and the content you put out, because we do broadcast over so many different social media platforms. All of them don't have the same rules. And this, of course, is a family-friendly show. So if there are children that are tuning in, then I definitely don't want to traumatize them or have them asking too many questions about things that maybe you aren't ready to answer. So kind of work with me if I'm being vague. That's the reason why. But anyway, as it stands, if you go to the media outlets locally here in Kansas City, you will actually see that in front of this home that one of the police, but not one of the police stations, but one of the news outlets is questioning a gentleman who was in front of the home where this incident took place, and he is using one of those big shop vacs that you will see at a car dealership, clean out cars or whatnot, vacuum cleaners, and you can see him vacuuming up the glass and scrubbing the liquid that comes out of our bodies when those kinds of things happen. He's cleaning that up off of his porch. And I mean, it's a crime scene. And they've allowed this man to just leave with no arrest, claiming that there's going to be an investigation, but he's cleaning it up. And he's replaced his door. He has a brand new door there. So, and then something else that is just me looking at it, I just could not. I mean, just taking all of this in, it was a lot. You all don't understand. We've been up for hours. I know Kansas City Defender, Kansas City Discover, and everybody on those platforms, and just everybody that is involved in any kind of social activism in Kansas City. We have just been up since this happened, just trying to circulate this everywhere. And thank God and thank you to the people of Kansas City who have helped to make this happen, because it didn't take long. It did not take long at all for people to respond. It is going viral nationally, and everybody has it. And it is still circulating. It still has a long way to go. I know that D.L. Hughley, another fraternity brother that I sent it to, I'm not saying that they're broadcasting it because of me. I'm just saying that, I definitely sent it to all of my fraternity brothers that I know who are famous, that I know who are social activists, and that definitely step up when it comes to things of this nature. And they are broadcasting it on all of their platforms as well. So if you want to see it in detail, if you want to see the aunt's response, if you want to keep up with the family and what's going on, and for any updates, then by all means follow them and get the updates. But again, like I was saying, one of the news outlets here in Kansas City, when they reported on it, they went to the home, of course, showed where the man was cleaning up the place, but they asked the neighbor, and it shocked me. It just lets you know how comfortable people are, or they are, when these things happen, because the news reporter said, did you see what happened? He said, yeah. And he said, well, the news reporter said, well, do you want to give a statement? And the neighbor said, no, man, I can't talk about that. And the news reporter asked him why. And the man said, you know why? That's my friend. That's my buddy. And we protect each other. So, you know how that's going to happen. And I wonder if that is this neighbor that chose not to answer the door. Because when a weapon is used, you hear it. And I actually used to live over there. I used to live on Cookingham. And it's just not an area where these types of things happen. So when you hear something like that, you pay attention. And I can understand being scared, because I would be. And that's why I have cameras on my home. They have cameras on theirs. They have the signs everywhere saying that they do, and it's even been reported that they do. And so he knew, but can you imagine what Ralph was going through after having that done to you twice? And you have to pull yourself up off of a porch, 16 years old, and finally make it to the home. Even the fact that he trusted to knock on another door after he knocked on the wrong door and that happened to him. But to then get to this second home and this person does not does not answer and doesn't help you. So anyway, I wonder if that is this same neighbor that the news outlet was speaking to, who clearly said that, hey, that's my buddy. Well, you know why? That's my buddy. We have to protect each other. At any rate, I do know that Ralph survived. Ralph is in the hospital. And right now, all that the family is asking is that you definitely keep them in your prayers and that you do call and make sure that this case gets attention and that justice is served. And I'll leave it at that. At this point, there has not been a GoFundMe set up or anything like that. We do not know, or the family has not reported anything regarding any other needs or anything like that. He is still in the hospital. And at this point, it would definitely be too early to know what kind of care he would need after this, because it's too early to know exactly what the injuries or what the after effect will be in regards to the injuries, because when it comes to the head, that controls, and your brain controls the functioning of everything else in your body, you just really don't know. So again, Shaun King, and those of you who know who Shaun King is, he is, again, I'm not sure if he's actually made it physically to Kansas City yet, but if you follow him on social media, and I just realized I don't even follow him on social media when all of this happened, but he did secure the family an attorney. I do not know if that attorney is Lee Merritt, but I do know that Lee Merritt is on his way to Kansas City as well. And so I know that they are in good hands, definitely, with Lee Merritt coming. Lee Merritt is an attorney, and I have all of the faith and confidence in my fraternity brother. He was a part of the George Floyd case. So I'm sure you guys will see him once he arrives. So when you see him, he'll look familiar to you, and then you'll know that yeah, this is another brother that knows that knows what he's doing. So with that being said, again, just keep the Yarl family, or the family of Ralph Yarl, in your prayers, and make sure that the conversations that you're having are positive in regards to him, and that also in whatever you do, however you choose to do it, make sure that you do it in a peaceful and appropriate manner. We definitely do not need any more violence in Kansas City. We do not need anyone going out and doing anything illegal or inappropriate in the eyes of the law in the name of what has happened to Ralph Yarl. That is only adding insult to injury. Everyone is hurting, and we definitely are not hurting any more than the family and the close and loved ones of this young man. And so they definitely do not need to hear of any destruction or anything negative going on in Kansas City, and then you go and use his name behind it. So again, there's always a way to handle things, an appropriate way to handle things. And there's a difference between being passionate about a subject and then just being completely destructive, because one will fuel action, and the other, I'm just going to be honest with you, get you put in jail, or it's going to destroy your neighborhoods. And then we don't want that. That is not what the family is asking for, and that is not what anybody is asking, and that is not what true social activism and protest is. that there was a protest at 3 o'clock today. I do not know if it is still going on. It was at that Dollar General, which is at the corner I want to say it is, there's at the corner of 169 and Tracy or Cookingham. I can't remember, but if you are familiar with that area out there, it's posted on social media, then that is where everyone was meeting. And it started at 3. So if you do choose to participate or did participate, I hope that it went well. I hope that it was calm. I hope that it was peaceful and that there was no additional reason for the police to get involved. Because one way to death, if you don't like the police and don't want them involved, don't invite them to be involved. Don't give them a reason to be involved. Anything that they do nefarious is on them. But if you give a reason for them to come and respond, then they are. So again, as the days move forward, I just hope that everyone just remain peaceful, still advocating for justice and doing what we need to do, but to keep, well, not but and keep this family in the forefront of our minds and do not compound the stress that they are already going through. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then again, just thank everybody that has allowed us to wake them up and with emails and everything else and ask them to get this out to everyone so that this family can feel supported and comforted by the community, knowing that they can focus on Ralph getting better while the community is out handling what we can for them. So this is also, I guess, a segue into what I wanted to discuss today. I was going to have a guest today, but I excused the both of them to actually be a part of the protest that was going on because they were going to talk about maternal health week that has just wrapped up in Kansas City. And I do want to thank everyone who came to all of the virtual meetings and the virtual discussions that we had at UMKC and the one that I did at the one that I did online as well. And it is just so interesting because we talk about the maternal health rates, we talk about the maternal death rates, and of course this was focusing on Black women and the struggles that we face in the healthcare field, not only as professionals, but again, this is focusing on the mothers. And this is focusing, or it was focusing on the disparities in healthcare and the treatment that we receive in healthcare. And again, I just thank God for the doctors that I had delivering my children. I know Dr. Kobanal at St. Luke's, she is a Black woman, and I would not have had anyone else other than her. But even with that, when she wasn't there, I can just say on my own, it was difficult getting pain medication. And for me, I tolerate pain purposely because I don't like to take medication. I don't like anything that takes me out of my senses. And then I have a very sensitive system too. I can't take narcotics and opioids and things like Oxycontin and oxycodone and hydrocodone. Medications of that nature knock me out for a very long time, and I just don't like that feeling. So I purposely tolerate pain because I don't want to take those things. So when I ask for medication, that means that I am probably at a 20. You know, they ask you if you're on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm on a 20, probably about to hit 30. And I can say that I was ignored. I was really ignored. And there was one time I remember I was in the hospital when I had my son, and I was literally shaking. Now, me as a healthcare professional, I knew what was going on. That was when I found out that well, I knew I was allergic to latex already. That I have known for a very long time. But because I had a C-section, they used what's called steri strips, and they didn't use these. They have something called liquid skin, which basically means that they can glue your skin back together. Well, they put steri strips on me when I had my son. And those things have latex in them. And I don't know if it was just oversight. I didn't even get into it. Of course, I had to be out from that. Having my son, it was an emergency procedure. And once I started shaking and going through all of those things, I knew something was wrong, but it wasn't until I moved my gown and because I was itching, that I realized that I was having a severe allergic reaction. And I still didn't realize what it was from because the hospital knew I was allergic to latex. So it didn't even cross my mind. And I was like, goodness, what did they use? Or what did I take that now I'm breaking out in hives? But then, of course, like I said, it was an emergency procedure. So I was like, maybe it was just a new medication and the steroids and the hormones, because I had been in the hospital for weeks, just trying to keep him cooking, as the old people say, before I had him. So it could have been a number of things. But anyway, when I told the I knew I woke my husband at the time up, and I told him, I was like, something is wrong. And he saw that I was shaking, and he was asleep because I knew he hadn't slept for days up watching me, worried about me, because both me and my son's life was in danger. So he was kind of out of it. But then when he looked at me, then he really paid attention. And then he got up, and then we were in the NICU. And then we were actually in the intensive care part of the NICU. I had my son at exactly 28 weeks. It was very, very early. And so when we called the nurse, it still took her a very long time to get to me. At this time, I did not have Dr. Kopanoff. I had another doctor, and she was great, but she's retired now. But I just know that being in the NICU, you're in an intensive care unit, but you're in an intensive care unit for a baby. And again, being in the healthcare field, you are not separated on the floors. And at the time in this hospital, and I'm not going to call the hospital name, they were actually doing this massive reconstruction. And so we all were just in this little space. So it's not like they had to go a long distance to get to me. They literally were right there. And it wasn't until I actually hit the buzzer and I kind of spoke some buzzwords to her that the nurse came in and she appeared. And then I'm shaking now. I had to lift up my gown. And that's when I showed her, and then she was shocked. And so the point being, it should not have taken all of that. And also another point is that I had seen other mothers go through their things there, and the response time was so quick. So with that being said, we have Black Maternal Health Week because things like this happen. And they happen all the time to us. We don't get the care that we need. We don't get it as fast as we need. We don't get the adequate care that we need. And that just goes back to so many things that I can get into at another time. Again, I told my guests that I would give them the opportunity to come and speak about it. Also invited Dr. Charlita Smith, who is someone that I met actually at Black Legislative Day. I want to say it was 2021 Black Legislative Day in Topeka at the state capitol, and she's also someone with me that has some legislation and some bills going that we're trying to get passed in regards to care for us. and she is a great resource. She is with a KU, and I'm going to let her come and speak about that. But even with all of that being said, what we are going to do is we're asking that when you have doctors and you have nurses and people who know that give you great care, who respond to you, because we are doing things to combat the negative, but also we found that we need more of the positive. We need to know who these doctors are who do take their oath serious, who do pay attention to the needs of Black women, African American women, women of color. And we are putting together a registry. So when you do, so it'll be very easy. So when you do need certain care, be it an OBGYN, thinking about that because it is wrapping up Black Mental Health Week, but be it a dentist, be it a psychiatrist, whatever the case may be, that you can just go directly there and pull these people up. And then at the same time, you need to also voice your concerns. Do not be afraid to speak up to your healthcare professional. For one, you cannot acknowledge or fix, or you can't fix what you don't acknowledge, and you cannot acknowledge what you haven't been told. So, in all fairness, you need to make sure that you are telling your doctor what is wrong. You are in control of everything. And by all means, if it's something that you don't understand and you need further explanation, it's not up for debate. They have to tell you, and they have to tell you in a way that you understand. And that is why all of those booklets and all of those pamphlets are there in the office. Not only are they there for information purposes about specific diseases, healthcare, but they're also a great resource in regards to your rights as a patient and what that office believes in ethically. And I say that because you have some offices who will offer you holistic care or alternative medicine. I hate that they use that word, but it lets you know what your options are. And most people kind of shun that off or just don't pay attention to it because we're so used to seeing it. We never pick it up and it ends up just being cluttered in our car or in our home or in a drawer somewhere that we never read. But I encourage you to read those things so you know what your doctor's office is about ethically, what they offer, and then who to contact if you have any questions or concerns, and what to do if you are not receiving the treatment that you are supposed to receive. I will tell you that most times, more often than not, your doctor wants to know what's wrong so they can fix it. Doctors are healers, and that is why we're here. And for the most part, we take our profession very serious. Of course, I can't speak for everyone, but I do. Um, I try to believe that. I try to believe the best of everyone until you actually show me different. And so that's how I approach the situation. So I go into it and with the thought process of I have a concern. My doctor wants to know what my concern is because the goal of both of us is to make sure that I am okay. So again, in all fairness, make sure that you are communicating what is wrong, even if you don't understand it. That's what the doctor's for. So it's not about figuring out what's wrong. You don't want to, because you're not the doctor, that's the doctor's job. Even if you really can't explain it, it just takes maybe you writing it down. Well, not maybe, these are definite suggestions. If something is happening to you and you don't know what it is, and your doctor's appointment may not be until next week or next month. Of course, if it's an emergency, you need to call 911 and go to the emergency room, and then make sure that you follow up with your primary care physician. But if it is something that is going on and you feel as though you can wait and it's safe for you to wait until your next appointment, then it's in the interim, what you can do is write down what is going on. And by that, I mean, you can say and be specific about it and say, well, on Sunday after I ate such and such, my head started to hurt. Or after I drank such and such, that is when I noticed I started itching. Or I wake up at a certain time in the night and with chest pain, or I'm dizzy. So again, you may not know what those symptoms are, and it's not for you to know, and it's okay. Nothing is too big and nothing is too small. It's just about writing those things down because you may forget. But it's also about having a timeline because that is very helpful as well when it comes to reporting things to your doctor so they can get a good idea of when, where, what, and under what circumstances that something is going on, and then definitely how frequently it is happening. So again, it's not about you diagnosing yourself. So please stay away from the website, the WebMD, Mayo Clinic. All of those are very good resource information, but they are not there for you to diagnose yourself. They're just there to give you small pieces of information just to keep you familiar, but they're not there at all to give you a full scope of any type of disease or anything whatsoever. Also, it's a good thing to take advantage of the teletherapy or the teleclinics and even the chats that are a part of a lot of hospitals and doctors' offices now. So you can send your doctor an email or get online and start a chat with a nurse. And if you have any concerns at that time, then you can I give it to them and they can advise you if they feel as though from what you told them, if it's feasible to wait and maybe schedule an appointment as soon as possible, or if you should go to the emergency room. And again, as always, if you feel like you are in any kind of danger, mentally, physically, then go to the emergency room. If you cannot make it there yourself, then by all means call 911 and have emergency services get you there. If it is a mental health emergency, then dial 988, okay? 911 for physical emergencies, and then 988 for all mental health emergencies. So with that being said, it is also the week, I know in Kansas, I know the second week where the legislature has been off and on their break. And then when they come back, it'll be for the veto session. And one thing that has happened this week, some bills that were vetoed by Governor Kelly, and we're so happy that Governor Kelly is there protecting. She's a big advocate for Black women. I would say that personally, and for the things that we are trying to put in place. And there are bills that she has vetoed, and there's one bill in particular moving. I just wanted to give that little snippet about Governor Kelly. I'm thinking about the ongoing debate about reproductive health, or reproductive health care, as well as reproductive rights. And it is just so interesting to me that people advocate for, or they advocate their strict pro-life stance, meaning that they believe in life so much, but the actions in the community don't reflect that. Just from what I just spoke about with Raphael, that county, that state itself, Missouri has zero tolerance for reproductive health care, even in cases of emergency, in case of grape. But, I can't say that word. In grape, you all know what I mean, remove the G. In cases of family to family incidences, um, even in incidences of healthcare emergencies. Missouri does stop it. They don't care. It's zero tolerance. Now, please know that your physician is going to, I hope your physician does, even though these bills put physicians at a very, very precarious position, because they can put you in a position to wonder if you're going to have your license revoked or suspended, taken away from you in some manner if you're trying to provide care to a patient. But know that your doctor is going to, by all means, provide you the best care if you are in any kind of healthcare emergency, regardless of your reproductive bills or rights or anything that's going on, okay? Because the oath is to first do no harm, okay? And I'll just leave it at that. So I'm just saying that in regards to your healthcare professionals. But with that being said, with Missouri having zero tolerance for that, but you don't protect the lives that are here, those two things don't match up. So it's not giving it's not sending the same message. And it really makes you wonder, what is it all for? What are you really trying to protect or not protect? And then also the other side of that is you have these programs that I spoke to you about a few weeks ago. One of those programs being the Eddie Eagle program. And the Eddie Eagle program is a program sponsored by and developed by the NRA and some other people. But it is making the school district, and I'm speaking about Kansas. I have not even looked up, and I'm going to take my phone while I'm talking to you and look and see if there is any legislation regarding the Eddie Eagle program in Missouri. But I do know that it did pass in Kansas, which basically means that, and it's called the NRA, Eddie Eagle program, even though the NRA tries to deny so much about it. But anyway, what that program does is, of course, is using this little cartoon figure that looks like an eagle that is supposed to teach gun safety in schools. And the bill that passed both houses in Kansas, because we have a Republican majority legislature in both houses, is making the school system now develop a curriculum, or maybe I should just say space, because I'm not even sure how that's going to happen. But the schools have to make space for this Eddie Eagle program to happen. Now, Governor Kelly vetoed this, of course. But like I said, there's a Republican-led in both houses. Both houses, Republicans have the majority. And so they advocate for this program. And they do have the votes to override Governor Kelly's veto. But I will tell you this, that whenever the legislature starts to institute programs into a school like this, unnecessary programs, because this program does absolutely nothing to end gun violence, nothing at all. It does nothing at all to address the issue of gun violence in schools or among our children. But the focus is on this rather than focusing on the issue at hand, which is gun safety. And so it is still not too late for you to email, call, go up there, make appointments to talk to the people who represent you, who represents your districts, who represents your county, and let them know how you feel about it. We have elections coming up in 2024. It's important that you know what their platforms are. And with everything else, it's most important to know that these are your local school boards. These are your local school systems. So you have your children enrolled in a specific school district, of course, because of where you live, but you moved there for a reason. And what I will say, if you moved to an area because you like the school district and you want your child there, that definitely means that you trust in the school boards, you have trust in the teachers from what you've read or what you've seen or what you've experienced from either growing up there yourself or friends being in there, whatever your reasoning is. When the legislature puts their hands on it and then they decide what programs are supposed to be taught, then that totally changes that school system. That is taking control away from you. You are the ones at those PTA meetings. You are the ones who are on the school board. School board members are local members of the community. And if the legislature has the power to now decide what our children are learning, then why in the world do we have school boards anyway? What is the point? They have already taken so much control away from our teachers. And they have left them with little options, but still haven't done anything to keep them safe or our children safe. Again, all of these are smoke screens and shiny objects to not address the issue of gun violence. And that is what you need to press upon your local officials to do. When these elections come up, prior to the election, you need to set your own agenda. When you email them, let them know that you are against certain programs, and then let them know that in order to obtain your vote, because you are aware that they are up for re-election next year, that this is your stance, and you want them to verbally commit or at least give you an answer on where they stand on this subject. And that is not to sound threatening in any way whatsoever, but that is just the democratic process that we live in. When you talk to someone who's running for office, if they do not believe in what you believe in, or if their politics don't align with your politics, then they don't get your vote. That's how it works. So it's okay to know that. And it's okay to ask them that. And then also, you can go online and find out how your representative voted. You can go online and even watch it yourself. If you're not watching it live, you can go at a later time and see how your senator, how your representative, who did what at what time on exactly which bill, from anything like the Eddie Eagle program or gun violence, reproductive health care, Medicaid expansion, anything, you can find out how they voted. You can find out how they voted in the past on things. So if you see that they have voted for or against something that they are telling you now they're going to vote for or against, then question them about it. And then if you do put them into position and they do get your vote based on the fact that they told you they do believe one thing and that they are going to vote a certain way, and then you look online when they are elected and find that they did something different, then now that you have concrete evidence that that politician is not honest and that they are not there to serve your interests as a constituent. So you have to get involved. You have to get involved because it is awful that we have to beg for our children to be safe. It is god awful that we have to beg the people who have the power to make sure that we are not burying our children. And it is also sad that now also teachers go to work and walk out of the door every day like they are going off to war, like they are soldiers who may not come home. A teacher should not have to worry about whether or not they're going to have to dodge a bullet like they are in the special forces or they are some sort of infantry soldier. That should not be on the minds of teachers. And the only way that you do that is to check the people who are sitting in Topeka and the people who are sitting in Jeff City. Understand that you have to vote locally because those people come from your towns before they get to our capital city and then they end up in DC. These people are not far removed from us, okay? So I just want you guys to keep those things in mind. I want you guys to stay aware and stay informed. If you have any questions about anything, please call and you can email. You can drop in the comments about anything that you see on here and about information on the show. I'd be happy to elaborate on it. Again, thank you to everyone who has reached out and supported the family of Ralph Ural, and also those of you who haven't supported me or who have supported me in my endeavors. I do thank you so much. We are definitely in the thick of that, and we will definitely be making a lot of noise this weekend, being that the NFL draft is coming, because people need to know the real deal about Kansas City. And it's not about spreading the tea, but they need to know that if you move here, then really, what kind of school system are your children going to be in? What kind of safety are you going to get behind the judicial system and the government? So again, drop in the comments, email, and call, and I will definitely answer and respond back. And I will see you guys on the first Sunday in May. So you take care.